And welcome. In this video tutorial, we're going to take everything we've learned from our other Smartboard video tutorials and we're going to apply it all at once because we're actually going to build a station Smartboard display from scratch, start to finish, and you're going to get to follow along. So hang on, here we go. The first thing I'm going to do is go into our administrative web portal for our particular department, and we're going to go down to the Stations tab. And then we're going to choose the station we're going to design a board for. I'm going to choose Mooresville Station 3. That's what I'm going to check. And we've already got a name. We've got a Smartboard title already entered in. The latitude and longitude for that station have already been entered in. And we have a logo for the department. In addition to that, down here, I've already created a few Smartboard messages that can apply to my Smartboard, and I've created a few station events in the station calendar so that I've got some events on my calendar. So all that's ready to go. So then we're going to come up here and we're going to click on the button called Edit Smartboard Design. That's going to open our Smartboard Design Studio. I'm going to take that and actually make it full screen. And our first move is to check and make sure our screen aspect ratio is right. I'm designing this for a widescreen TV, so I want to have a 16:9 ratio, and that's what I'm set at, so we're good to go. I'm going to come up now and I'm going to hit Add Template, and I'm going to call this the idle mode. And this is going to be our first template. So this will be the background that we're going to use for all the different pages of our Smartboard when it's in idle mode. So here I'm going to add a widget. I'm going to put a panel widget on here, and I'm going to go to Select Image. And I'm going to choose a background that I had designed by a friend of mine. And we're just going to throw this one up in there. This is just a background graphic design. And I'm going to make it full screen because that's how it was designed to be used, was in full screen. Now on top of that little background image that my friend created, I'm going to now add another widget for text, and I'll put it up here. Make it a little, whoops, make it a little bigger. And within that, I'm going to put in a field placeholder for the station Smartboard title, so it'll automatically take the title as it appears in the web portal and put it up here for us automatically. That means if we ever change it in the web portal, it'll change automatically on the Smartboards as well. I'm going to increase the size on that, and I'm going to make it a wrap text so that I can have actually 2 lines of text there if I needed it. We'll put that there. I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to add one more panel widget. This time I'm going to say use station logo, and that's going to give me a little station logo. I'm going to reduce the size of it and put it right up here in the left hand corner of this screen. Then the final thing I'm going to do is put my clock on. So I'll hit add widget, put a text widget on there, resize it and move it right on top of that black space there. I'm going to put a field placeholder in it for the current time, so that's what's going to display. I'll choose my font family as Roboto, and my font size is going to be 64. Then let's change the color so we can actually see that clock. We'll put it in bright red. How about that? It's a good color for the fire department. So now that's our background template. That's what I want to apply to all my other pages of my Smartboard. So my template itself is done, and it's got the elements on it that I want. Well, I say that, but you know what? Let's add one more thing to this. Let's get a little fancy, and we're going to add one more widget across the bottom. It's going to be a text widget. I'm going to make it full screen size, but relatively small, and I'm going to put it way down here at the bottom of my screen, just like that. And within that, I'm going to use the field placeholder for the marquee messages. That means all those messages that I have entered in the server are going to come across on this and replace the field placeholder and display on the Smartboard. Again, I'm going to choose Roboto as my font family. I'm going to choose a relatively small size font, by comparison, and I'm going to make the text white. Then I need to choose marquee. Marquee is what makes this scroll across the bottom of the screen. So now I'm going to have that marquee scrolling across the bottom of my screen template. So that means that every screen that I apply it to, that will automatically scroll across the bottom of the screen as well. So now we have our template done. I like it. Well, let's go on to designing screen 1. So we're going to actually start designing our screens now. So I apply screen 1 up here. I've already got that screen ready. I want to decrease the duration of this screen so that it only displays for 10 seconds. So I'm going to select 10 seconds. The first thing I'll do is add my template widget. I'm going to choose for my template name idle mode. And we're going to slide that template up and make it full screen again, the way it was designed. So now my template is there. I don't have to do anything else for that. I don't have to redesign all of this stuff for this screen. And what I want to do here is put a calendar on the left. So I'm going to first create a panel for the calendar to sit on. And I'm going to make that panel white, and I'm going to add a border color of red. I'm going to make the border width a 3. I'm not going to use a border radius because I want my right angles there. I like them, and I'm going to use a drop shadow. It gives me just a little shadow around that panel. Now I've got a panel for my calendar to sit on, so we'll add our calendar widget, and we'll resize the calendar widget for that panel, and we'll increase the font size to 14. All right, so now we've got a calendar on the left. I'm going to add my units to the right, so I'm going to add another panel widget over here on the right side. And again, we're just kind of doing this quickly, so may not be absolutely perfect. To match the other one, I'm going to make the color white and the border red. Border width was 3 and a drop shadow as well. Now I've got a panel for my units, and I'm going to finally add one more widget, which is my units widget, and that's going to give the current status of all the units in my fleet. I've got a pretty big fleet in this demo department, so it's going to scroll. I want the color to be black, so I'm going to choose black for my text color, and I'm going to hide the responders, but I'm going to increase the font size to 16. So now I've got my unit list that'll scroll across the right hand side of the screen. That screen's going to display for 10 seconds. And let's call that good. We'll make that good. That's screen number 1. Now I'm going to go up to the top and add screen number 2. On this screen, again, the first thing I'm going to do is apply my template. So let's put that template in there. Let's set it for full screen. And let's choose the template name idle mode. Once again, my background elements are all there. So what do I want to add to this one? Well, I'm going to add a couple of maps. So we're going to put a map on the right hand side and a map on the left hand side. My left hand side map, I'm going to use placeholders here for the station's latitude and longitude. We'll quickly put that in. I'm going to use a zoom level of 16 so that I'm zoomed in pretty close to just the neighborhood around that station. In fact, I'm going to zoom out just a smidgen and put it at 15. And we're going to show our last 5 alerts, if there are any in that particular area. I'm going to show my units. If I have any units in that area, they'll appear on the map. And I think I'm pretty happy with that. We'll put our fire hydrants on there as well, so we can see the fire hydrants in this particular neighborhood. All right, so we're done with that map. Let's add one more map on the right-hand side. We'll kind of even it up so it sort of matches the other one size-wise. There we go. This map again, I'm going to center on the station's latitude and longitude, so I'll use the field placeholders for the station's latitude and longitude. I'm going to use a much wider view of this one. I'm only going to go to about 12. That gives me kind of the entire community. And again, we're going to show units. We're going to show our last 5 alerts. And so we have live unit locations on this map. You can see my fire trucks and my units actually appearing on the map there. And we'll also add radar so that weather radar would appear on there. I don't have any rain in the area right now, but if we do have rain, you'll get a little overlay of the weather radar on top of that city map. So I've got my close-up neighborhood map and I've got my city map side by side. So I'm kind of happy with that screen. I don't really need to do much else to that. Let's go back up here and let's hit add screen again. And we'll add a third screen. First thing we're going to do, of course, is put the template on it as we have in the other screens. We'll make it full size. We'll choose idle mode for our template from the idle mode from the template menu. Now on this one, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to add a panel first because the first part of this screen is going to be some headlines of the fire rescue industry. So let me put a panel for that. I'm going to go with white again as my panel background. And we'll add border color. We'll go red again. We'll make that 3 and we'll put a drop shadow on it. Now within that then I'm going to add a template or a widget for my RSS feed. I'm going to resize that for this space right here so I can get about, I don't know, 3 or 4 headlines in there probably. Now in this case I've already looked up an RSS feed URL, so I'm going to come up here and copy or paste that in right there. And so now I've got that located in there. So we're going to actually have a feed for news headlines, fire rescue news headlines from firehouse.com. I'm going to increase the font size on that a bit to, let's say, 16. That'll give me about 3 or 4 headlines that'll appear in that. I'll relocate that just a little bit, so I'll get about 4 or 5 headlines, and those will keep updated automatically live because it is an RSS feed. Now I'm going to add another panel on here, and we're just doing this as kind of a ad hoc design, throwing it together, and I'm going to use a background color again of white. We're going to keep all this sort of matched up. Border color of red, border width of 3, and a drop shadow. And on top of that panel, we're going to add a widget for our last 5 calls. So we're going to come in here and we're actually going to go to our alerts widget, add that alerts widget right there, and spread it out. So now we have the last 5 calls. Let's increase the font size on that just a little bit. And there we go. We got our last 5 calls displaying. Slide it a little to the right so it fits. And the last thing we're going to do on this screen is one more panel. And we're going to put it down here sort of at the bottom. It'll be a slightly smaller panel. At the bottom here, we're going to use a background color, again white, border color red, border width of 3, and a drop shadow. And on top of that panel now, we're going to add a weather widget. So we're going to put our forecast, our weather forecast, in that panel. So I'm just going to resize my forecast so that it generally fits that panel. And we're going to show only 5 entries. And we're going to go with a font size of 12. That looks pretty good. All right, so we're going to call that done. That page is done. Let's add up here one more. Let's go one more screen. On this one, however, we're not going to actually use our background template. So I'm going to show you that you can actually create screens without a background template. This one is just actually going to be used to send to put out a text-based message. This would be a special announcement. So we're going to call this a special announcement page. In fact, let's put a headline on that that says special announcement. How about that? That sounds important, doesn't it? So hopefully people will read that, and we're going to make that really large, and we're going to use a font family of EXO for that. Let's put a colon at the end of it, and let's make the font color, color, we're going to make that white. So special announcement. And we'll bold that too. How about that? That makes it really good. All right, now we'll add another text widget for that message that we're actually going to put on here. We're going to make this a pretty big widget. And we're going to type a lot of text in here. We're actually going to type in last day for uniform orders is July 27th. Please submit your orders promptly. All right, so we've just put in an important message maybe from the chief. We're going to make that font size pretty big, so we're going to do a 64 on that one as well. We're going to wrap the text. And we'll center it down here. I could put more information in here. And we're going to make that, since the background is already red, I'm going to use the color blue, bright blue, so that we can kind of highlight that message. I'll arrange this so it looks a little bit better. There we go, special announcement. And so that page is just going to be a temporary page that I'm only going to have until such time as the uniform orders are over with. So that's just going to be a special announcement page. I'm going to let that one display for 5 seconds. I'm going to let this one display for 15 seconds. Let's go with 12 seconds, since there's a little bit to read there. This screen I'm going to display for 10 seconds. And the first screen for 10 seconds. So I've got my timing set. So that's it. I've got my idle mode completely ready to go, and I'm happy with it. Now it's time to do the alert mode. So we're going to come up here and create actually another template. So I'm going to hit add template. This one I'm going to call alert mode. And we've got a new template to start with. Again, I'm going to add a panel widget with a background image that, again, as I said, I've already had prepared. I'm going to use this image here. I'm going to take it full screen. So I got a little different image and background for my alert mode timer. Now on this background widget, this background template, I'm going to add a text widget. And I'm going to put it up in here. And it's just going to say new alert. You could say new alert, new dispatch, new whatever you want. You can basically say anything you want here. We're going to make that really big so it gets your attention pretty quickly. We're going to make it bold, and we're going to use the font family EXO for that. We're going to make the color really red, bright red. There we go. So we got a bright red color. So it says new alert. And then down here in the bottom, I'm going to put my shoot timer. So now I'm going to add a widget at the bottom of this screen for my shoot timer. So I'm actually going to choose the shoot timer widget. That'll give me a blank gray space because it doesn't fill in until the timer actually starts. And I'm going to put that down here in this bottom area. I'm going to have it count up. So we'll have a count up shoot timer. And I'm going to make the font size relatively large. So we'll put it at 96. The color of that shoot timer is going to be orange. We're going to make an orange shoot timer. Orangish yellow, let's put it that way. And I think we're ready to go with that. So this is my placeholder for my shoot timer. I've got new alert here. That's all I'm going to put on my alert mode template. So now we're ready to design the alert mode. So we're going to take up here on the left, upper left, and we're going to take the entire Design Studio and put it into alert mode. Now I put it into alert mode. I start with a blank screen again. But remember, I've created a template I can use for these screens. So the first widget I'm going to add again is a template widget. I'm going to select from that my alert mode template, and I'm going to take it to full screen. All right, so now I've got my background and my shoot timer is already in place, just the way I designed it. Now for my first alert page panel, I'm going to put some call information in on the left and a map on the right. So what I need to do first is add a panel widget that's going to contain my call information. We're going to make it take up about half the screen. I'm going to use a background color of white. I'm not going to put a border on it this time. On top of that panel, I'm going to add some text widgets. So let's add a text widget first that has the nature of the call type in it. We'll make that spread across here. We'll make it centered. And in that text box, I'm going to put a placeholder for the active alert title. Here it is right here, active alert title. So we put that in. That's our active alert. The latest alert, one that's currently active, is a commercial structure fire. I'm going to make that pretty big. Maybe not quite that big. Make that pretty big. And we're going to use the font family Roboto. And the color of that is going to be bright red. Underneath of that, I'm going to add another widget, and it's going to be another text widget. In this widget, I'm going to put a placeholder for the active alert address. So let's go to the active alert address. We'll increase the size of that one as well. And we're going to leave that in black. The next thing we're going to do is one more text widget. I'll put it right here. Take up most of this space right here. And within that, I'm going to use a text placeholder and put in the active alert message. So that's going to be whatever text they gave us. We will allow this to wrap as needed, and we're going to increase the font size on that to about 16. Let's go a little larger than that even, 18. So we get the additional information that would appear, for instance, on the tablet. So this is going to be the information that the dispatcher entered. We're getting, on this particular call, we're getting a place name, cross streets, details, so forth and so on. And then at the very bottom of that panel, I'm going to add one more widget, another text widget. We're going to put it across the bottom of that panel, right here. So we leave plenty of room for the notes. And our placeholder is going to be the active alert units. That's going to be the unit assignments for that particular call. We're going to leave those in Roboto as well. And I'm pretty happy with the font size, but let me make it just a little bit bigger. We'll make it font size 16, and the color of those, let's go with good old red. How about that? All right, so now we have the nature of the call, the address of the call, the details of the call, and the unit assignments across the bottom. On the right-hand side then, I'm going to add another widget, and in this one, we're going to put a map. So we're just going to drop a map over here on the right-hand side, expand it to be about that big. Now in the details of the map, I want the map type to be Google with traffic, and I want the latitude to be the actual address of the call. So I'm going to go to the active alert latitude. That's what I'm going to use as my placeholder. And in the longitude, I'm going to use the active alert longitude. All right, so now we're centered on the location where that is, and I'm going to do a close-up of that. So I'm going to go all the way in to 18. So I'm really showing the close-up details of the immediate area around that. I'm going to show where the alert is, and I'm going to show sticky waypoints and fire hydrants, so I can see anything in the immediate vicinity of that call. For instance, I can see that I've got a fire department connection down here. I've got hydrants around the area that I can see. I've got one out of service hydrant located right here on the corner. That's about the closest hydrant, so it's a good thing I see that that's out of service. I'll need to avoid using that one. Anyway, I have the details of my map. I've got that set up the way I want. I'm happy with this screen. Let's add one more screen to alert mode. The first thing again that we'll do is add our template. Make it full size. And we're going to use our alert mode template. So on this one, we're just basically going to have a map that gives us navigation routing to that call. So again, what we're going to do is add a map widget. We're going to let it take up virtually the entire screen. So I've got my map placed. Now let's look at what details we put on that map. Over in the right hand side, we're going to choose Google, or let's go with the OpenStreetMaps here. Let's go with that type of map. I like the look of that. The latitude and longitude for the map centering is I'm going to have the station latitude, and I'm going to use a placeholder for the station longitude. So now the map is centered on our station. I'm going to use a zoom level of, let's go with 13, so we get a little bit more detail. You know what? I'll stick with 12. I was happy with that. Let's stick with 12. We're going to show our alert, our active alert, so the location of that. We're going to show our fire station, the location of that. And then down here, to create a navigation line, I have the option of creating a navigation line, routing line, that shows me how to get from that point. So I'm going to come down here into the nav2 latitude, and that's going to be the location of this active alert. So I'm going to use the active alert latitude and the active alert longitude. What that's going to do is it's going to allow this map to create a navigation line from the fire station to the incident. And so I've got that set up. It'll always appear as a right angle when I'm in the designer mode, but in actual use, it will appear as a regular navigation line. So now we've got 2 pages of screens for our alert mode. One that shows the nature of the call, the name of the call, some of the information about the call, the unit assignments, and a close-up map of the area where the call is so we can see our hydrants and so forth. And the other screen is just going to show a navigation line. So I'm just going to use those 2 screens. So that's my smart board. Let's publish that and actually see it in operation. When I hit the publish button, it's going to save this entire configuration, including the templates and everything. And it's actually going to switch to the exhibit mode where you actually get to watch the smartboard in action. So I'm going to go ahead and hit that now. It's publishing, and our smartboard goes into operation. So here's page 1 of the smartboard displaying. Remember, we had this one set so that it would display for about 10 seconds, or if I remember correctly. Now it's switched to the second page where you can see kind of a close-up of the neighborhood with your hydrants and so forth. Another map farther out with all your units. Switches to page 3. There's our headlines. There's our last 5 calls, and there's our weather forecast, all appearing on the page as expected. So now we can test alert mode. Let's take a look and see what alert mode. I'll wait and try to get a call sent to this board. And there.
Falls Alpha 5505 SNC 16, Business Highway, Maiden, North Carolina.
So now we've fully tested our smartboard, both idle mode and alert mode. We're pretty happy with it. So you've gotten to see us create a smartboard from scratch, end to end, and you can see the process can be done pretty quickly once you get used to using the Designer Studio. Hopefully this helps you understand more about your smartboard. Thanks for watching.